calls the 10 Commandments of successfully working with artists. And if you're a writer and you want to create comics and you want to work with artists, these are probably like the 10 best rules or commandments or guidelines that I could give people that might be interested. Speaking of which, commandment number 2 then is, thou shalt make it worth the artist's while to work with you. I was touching on this a moment ago. It says everyone wants to work with good sequential artists, so what will you offer him or her to work with you? If you can't entice an artist whose work you like with some sort of benefit to his or her career, be it financial or otherwise, the artist will have no reason to work with you. It's not always about the money. It's oftentimes about the money, but it's not always about the money. You have to be able to offer an artist an incentive to work with you. And the fact that your story is really, really cool, it's gonna be awesome. Of course you think it's cool, you wrote it. I think my series is cool. You know why I think it's cool? Because it is! Because I wrote it, you know. You have to find a way to entice people to work with you. Make it worth their while, you know. I will say one thing for artists, and this is true of me as a writer as well, is it's not always about the money. You know, I'm going to write regardless. Artists are going to draw regardless. And can you give them something fun? Can you give them something worthwhile to draw? One of the reasons I was so successful working with about 24 different artists from all over the world, the Nightmare World, was the fact that the first question I would ask if I initiated contact was, what would you like to draw? I said, if I was to give you an 8-page script, what would you like to draw? Oh, you know, I've really been in the mood to draw dragons lately. Okay, well, if I gave you an 8-page story, you know, with dragons in it, and was able to give you a couple big, cool dragon shots and stuff like that, you know, would you be interested in looking at that? Yeah. I said, cool, all right, let me get some of you soon. Back in the old days, they hang up the phone, you know, and then you close your email. Of course, like, okay, man, now I can write a dragon story. It's not like they necessarily had a dragon story in me, but if I see this artist whose work I like, and if they want to draw dragons, guess what, man? You're writing a dragon story. So make it worth their while somehow. Another thing I did was back in 2002 when we started Nightmare World, we were one of the first fully realized comics online. I mean, nowadays you get Kindles and iPads and iPods, whatever they are. I can't keep them straight. And you can just go Comixology, poof, download a comic. I started doing that in 2002 because I couldn't afford to print comics in color. Back then, you know, and I talk about this in the Right or Wrong book, which if you're serious about creating comics, this is the best $15 you'll ever spend on yourself ever. Back then, color copies of Kinko's were $1 a piece, one-sided, sometimes more. I couldn't afford to print comics, and we couldn't print small runs. So as a result, we just put the work online, everyone could see it. It became a really a big deal. I was talking to a major editor at a major publisher a couple weeks ago when I was in Chicago, who at the time I knew had actually critiqued some scripts for me very early on, which was really cool. And I won't say his name because I don't want to put Scott Alley of Dark Horse Comics out there like that. But very, very nice man, very good guy. He was very good to me when I was just getting started. We were able to have lunch in Chicago. And he was talking about, yeah, man, he goes, you were one of the first ones to ever put comics online. You know, no one else was doing that before you. How'd you even do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I had another guy that was able to help upload the stuff. I didn't, dial him. I didn't even have internet in my own house. People were interested in being involved in that, and I made it worth their while. Nowadays, having work online, anybody can do it. You can go to like Comics Press, which is a extension of WordPress. That's not as much as an incentive, but it is a big one. If you can show that you can develop a following for their work, people like to see their work get noticed. It's a good first step. Do something, whether they pay or give them what they want to see. You have to be willing to give them an incentive.